like you basically were there for 2 years without realizing that they can't go forth and do anything towards the person because the roof at the time, the trend, we moved back because the apartment bathroom, basically the ceiling of the apartment had something that was like mold or something that made me sick, and then I didn't know if I had COVID or not, so it basically could have been COVID because I was under the impression that it was because my finger turned different colors. An explanation on why. There's maybe 3 different reasons. The first reason was a scratch and an insect bite would cause you to have something that they generally just basically made that assumption because I went to the woods with Evan back then in 2019 going to 20. The second one was a drink from the Zona Rosa because somebody who made it made accusations that it didn't seem like I was the one sketching it when I was with black hair and had light brown skin, like dark complected, light complected. Who else would it be? And they made remarks saying it was basically off someone else, and they can't say that because it's plagiarism using somebody else's research from a Mexican holiday back then that made the whole thing was basically off a Mexican holiday. Dos Mias, Dos Metros, the Day of the Dead, off November and October. The whole reason why I made this account was to get my explanation, my side of the story, and why they fucking basically wanted me to get therapy instead of continuing on with the stuff, and I didn't get kicked out of anywhere. I had all the explanations, everything written down from the years, the timelines and stuff, and I had proof of stuff with the paperwork and everything along with it. I never heard of such a thing that they made one person out to do this to one single guy. It's not right. It isn't even has your last name Ortega. Who the fuck out? There ain't no Warwick, Salmatero, Cancun, Sarancho Ortega. It's only Anthony Ortega. There's not 50 names attached to someone who only has a middle and a last name and didn't even use the middle name as like a surplus. Like you just basically have a middle name and a last name and have the documentation. No one else has the documents other than me because they only print that stuff out once, and I had all the proof of stuff. I don't understand why the dude's irrational. The neighbor doesn't get the last names. It doesn't get people addresses and stuff. He doesn't understand that. To leave you alone, not harass you by other people and by other means of stuff. Other people come and claim stuff. They can't go disclaim you because it has your last name. I never heard of such a thing. I don't know if I can use my bullshit. You know, they try to take this off by means of taking your device. They're not hackers themselves. And I had basically had attached to my email, and I still have those signed out. They're still signed in somehow. That it says if like you have like resources and stuff, and I was using the resources. They can't go back and say other like means of trying to destroy someone's reputation by like slandering their name and shit. Like slandering, saying all sorts of crazy shit that happened. Even at the apartment was weird. Can't go to court off something that has my last name, and there's no way of knowing that the hospital system that I was with case management back then, even when we moved to an apartment, they took time to help person out with resources and that. They wouldn't have talked to me if there was something like there that they had done or was aware of something. They wouldn't have even talked to me. I don't show that off on here because it's something that they'll make like generalization of people that have been to the hospital for just basically having stuff checked out in terms of stuff that you had wrong with the head concussion and that. And I place no idea how they can't go forth and have someone imposter me or delete this off and say it never occurred or it's all an error or something when it wasn't. You recorded what they had said, they go back and play that, they'll look really like discriminatory against one person and one person's family. Here they think I have COVID. I don't know what the fuck. The finger turned different colors and it was me, and I don't know how to explain. They can't go back forth saying that you're disease riddled and you have COVID when it was just a staph infection from either a drink or going to the woods for exercise. To beat what was inherited, and you can't do that if it's inherited. You have to deal with the cards that dealt with you. You can't go forth and change stuff by night and day. I lost weight by exercising on a stair stepper for 2 years. Here there's like a basically classifieds that are on the pitch. If it was on the pitch, like why would they place that? And it's basically two-faced by the people that place sort of like discriminatory means that if people go out and date and stuff that they can't go forth and go like be discriminatory against one person in terms of stuff. That was on the pitch that they can't go forth and say that it was like some other means, or they can't go forth and say it was some sort of like reasoning behind the doubt that you're some sort of like sick fuck and you can't go forth and do that. If it was on the pitch, if it's on some sort of website on a news feed that has like sort of like demographic of people going and reviewing shit, then they can't go forth and say that you're some sort of scumbag. I don't know why Jordan Silvers wrote an article without the person's last name instead of writing our last name in terms of not helping with like anything other than sort of like harassed by people that she only likes dudes or she only likes women, but discriminatory against dudes. Did too, Jaw. It says my last name Ortega. They're fucking psycho. They fucking has your, well, the way you look is discriminatory against. I draw an owl on a tree and they can't go forth and say it's someone else. That's plagiarism and the slander saying you can't do something when you live stream with your last name and first name and the way it looked. I'm not telling that dude is he can fucking can't do or can't do, and it's a psycho for the fucking guy to go forth with all his people and talk a bunch of crazy shit and get away with the crazy shit. They can't go forth and do that to one person. That's slander. You're slandering your name based upon if you look skinnier than the guy and you look better than him, he's gonna say a bunch of creepy shit because he's a loser. He sits on his ass all day. I don't live in an apartment anymore. They're fucking psycho. If this was Stone Good, they wouldn't have Ortega. And the Brave Fenter, the guy was calling me a wetbag and shit. I would be called Brave Fenter because they fucking jump over a fence to get here in America, and it wasn't even the fucking case. I just used that because of Brave Fenter Mirsachi, the fucking goddamn developer off the Square Soft game before they got merged with Enix or whatever. If I was a dirty Mexican, the fucking I would have stains on my clothes from fucking all the times that I've uploaded live streams and stuff. I'd be farting extremely loudly in the live streams, not be able to contain it if I wasn't mentally unstable. And say you're some sort of scumbag when you're not doing any of that crazy shit. If I was unstable, I would be fucking like off the walls and shit. An explanation of how one person gets like one-sided off them being weird with people, and they do this to more persons, and they get sort of no respect towards any other than themselves. Did too draw it if it has my last name and they fucking have where my parent worked. They psycho that I used a pen and she was talking to me at the apartment at the time, and her supervisor that worked with her, that I mentioned the name twice in the live stream. We're not making any of this stuff up, and it had her last name. And who the fuck else would it be if they can't go forth and say just because you're in a hospital once or twice off stuff that you didn't even have anything in your system at the time? When they check your blood, they know all that. I wouldn't be able to go into a hospital system like that if it was the case. They would do others that they wouldn't even sort of like have that. Not gonna get booked off discrimination. Not even schizophrenic if you literally recorded stuff that they had said and have audio explanation of why they did that without any reason other than them being discrimination towards one person that didn't do anything towards them, was mad after they did that, and have no right to be weird with you if you haven't thrown a fist or done anything towards them. Top 1,000 videos had case management back then after the fact that we moved, and didn't use it that often because I didn't want them like making it seem like I had it sketched on my hand when I had a courtroom trial at random without them being there in 2016. Nobody that badmouthed me or had any sort of discriminatory like remarks of being off sort of accused off the hospital without reason. Why did they clear me then? And it doesn't make sense to have someone who had got sort of the short end of the stick, and in terms of them trying to go back and the bill was paid off the insurance. Wouldn't have been able to get in an apartment like that if there was anything on my background. They wouldn't have done that for the 2 years that we were there. I'm glad I posted that for said that this reason that they can't go forth and be, hey, this guy said that to a person when they were saying something way before in 2011. How I explained it. None of those people that heard it, if it had like some sort of weird security footage or something that floats up, or they're aware of that. If the dude does that to more than one person, acts all smart and ridicules people until the point where they get sort of like no way of explanation of why this dude does that. I'm not laughing hysterically at anything or anybody, so they can't go forth and say I'm doing something wrong in terms of stuff. I'm not even laughing at other people. The only reason why the Scooby-Doo, like, because of the fucking live stream saying it was like Scooby-Doo, the Final Fantasy VII remake had elements of that off a witch hunt off people that it was like the Scooby-Doo anime or something, and then that Marvel caught that and said on Scooby-Doo they put like sublime messages and stuff. Never heard of such thing. They go after one person and say a bunch of stuff. And I'm not doing anything towards them. And if they heard something that was remarks off something off a soundboard, and you have a proof of it at one point in time that you had got the device off of OneDrive off Microsoft account from 2014 or 15 up until now. I have no idea why they did that, and still have no explanation why, and have no sort of explanation on why they think there's something more to you than to just go off and heal from thinking you had COVID or something. Down, but shit. They put a patch in this, so I don't know what this wasn't here before. Here I can take a photo stamp copy of like 4,000 some hours played at the apartment. Wasn't doing anything towards anyone. It's basically them being rude towards a person. Then COVID hit in 2019 somehow, and they can't go forth and say all sorts of stuff that you can't go forth and like show. Like, why did they say anything then? That 2019 that isn't stolen. It fucking has your last name and it looks like you. They can't go forth and give it off to someone else that has 50 last names. They made statements before you could even say anything, to the point where they can't go forth and I have Mark Arford on my Facebook profile when we had ADT. There was nothing on our backgrounds to indicate that we're scum in terms of stuff. That was on my Facebook. If one of the freaking people go back and sue them that they're basically being sort of discriminatory against one person when I was sketching something that looked like the character, and they said no, it wasn't Venom, but it was Spider-Man. Why the fuck do they even care what character in that, and why the fuck do they watch the feed and talk a bunch of crazy shit? I don't live in an apartment, I live in a fucking house. They're fucking psycho. They're fucking, for 2 years, this is just fucking temporary. They don't understand. And we got rasping people there for like not even knowing why they fucking have like no way of knowing that where exactly it was at, and I didn't post outside photographs or show video of the outside because of it. Man, I have like 1,000 videos to where it's like no way of explanation on why they think I was at places and trying to frame me for stuff that you didn't even do. Had it up for 2015. I didn't even make the statements or remarks on the people that I did meet, like back in like with Comic-Con. I didn't really like know for sure, but I talked with people that at the time when we were at Nintendo that did motion capture, that Elizabeth Maxwell. If I had known that, I would have tried to get more further into it, like my foot in the door with them, because I had a 30S with a high score and halfway through something that I basically played through at one point in time. When I went to appointments and that, it wasn't really anything else that other people have the same thing when they go to appointments and go forth. And this is basically not talking to anyone else, not getting in anyone else's way. It'd be different. Like, they can't go forth and be like discriminatory against one person that didn't do anything that bad. I can't even say that. It has my last name Ortega. There's not 50 names attached to my fucking goddamn name. Only Anthony Ortega. There's not San Rancho, Cancun, Warwick. Fucking. There's not 50 fucking names attached to one person. Not even here.
have you been hiding? I took you for dead. No matter, it's all the same. Lay out your arms, then. Back already. No matter. Lay out your arms.